What is going on, everyone? My name is Protolink, and in today's episode, I know you guys are waiting for me to do the command blocks. But in today's episode, I'm going to quickly go over structure blocks, how they're used, how you can use them, basically, as far as their limitations and what all you cannot do with them. So the first thing here is the save function. Now, I built this miniature tree as a structure that I want to save. Now, in order to save a structure, the only thing you have to do is go into the structure block, make sure it's on save mode, which they are by default, type in your structure name, so let's just call this structure 1, or you know what, let's do more simple than that. Let's just call it tree here. Then you specify the size and the offset, which I will go into shortly. And then entities and remove blocks, again, I'll go into those in a bit. Save in memory versus save to disk. Save in memory is there by default. Again, I'll go into that in a bit. And again, the show bounding box thing, you can click that on or off if you want. All that does is remove the outline or show it. So, yeah. And you can see kind of in the background, the bounding box, when I click it off, is invisible. When it's on, it's actually visible. So, it does also work in the world. So anyways, and then you click save. And it says up here, structure saved. So, what does this do? This literally saves everything within this little cubic area here to memory. Now, what does that mean? Now, saving it to memory means that you're saving it to a place that is temporary, basically. Memory is erased whenever you exit the game, I'm pretty sure. So, whatever you save to memory is all erased if you exit the game. If you want to save it to a more permanent thing to keep it forever, click Save to Disk. And saving it to disk basically allows you to create a file for it, and the game will automatically load the file when you go to load the structure. Speaking of loading, let's go ahead and load this tree over here. So I've already copied the tree, and this is a load block here. You can tell the difference in the blocks by the texture on the block, and also by up here it says load. So let's load the tree real quick. Tree, and that will basically load the structure. You won't be able to see it in here yet, but it will basically load the structure from memory, and then you can change the offset just like in the other things and whatnot. You can even rotate it if you want, and then you click load. Boom. And that loads the structure, just like that. Now then, the bounding box can be increased to exponential sizes, but the maximum range, I don't know if you can see this properly or not, but it is 64 blocks by 64 blocks by 64 blocks. So, it's a pretty large area, but at the same time, that's all you have to work with. If you're playing this on Java Edition, it's 32 by 32 by 32, simply because that's how it's programmed. But anyways, so it also doesn't have to be a cubic area. It can also be a rectangular prism, like this is here, where it's also wider than it is tall. So, how do you change this? Now, the size of the box is changed by these three values here, and let's just change this to 15 so you can kind of see the effect that it has. Of course, you can see it in the preview, but then if you go into the game, you can see that it's a little bit longer on this side. These values directly correlate to the coordinate plane, so x is, or a positive x rather, makes the back of it go into the positive x direction, which, if I remember my Minecraft directions, it is east, I believe, maybe. So, it'll increase it east, basically. I don't know whether or not these can accept negative values. Apparently they cannot. It just defaults to 1. So, that's basically how you change the size of the box. Now, this will also work with the y value, so let's change the y to 10 to make it a cube. Okay. And then change it back to 5, make it a rectangular prism. And then, of course, the Z changes the blue line. So X is the red line, Y is the green line, and Z is the blue line. Which is something that I just now got. So there's that. But anyways, the offset over here is basically where the box is within the world. So you can actually change this. Let me do 3x3 box here instead of a 10x10 box. So you can actually change this relative to the position of the structure block. So let's just do -1 for each of these to center the structure at the structure block here. And of course that does also change it in game basically. So the offset does accept negative values, and as I said before, it is relative to the position of the structure block. You can also move it down like this. The preview will show all the blocks within the selection grid basically, which is the white line, and it will basically erase these blocks in load mode, or in save mode it will include these blocks in the save. Now then, include entities. If it's on include, it will check and include like dropped items or animals. It will not include players, but it will include dropped items, animals, enemies, basically anything that is an entity within the game. Blocks, if you click this to remove blocks, it will exclude every block within the selection grid. It will basically only copy entities. Now then, if you go into load mode, you can see rotation here. This will basically rotate the build clockwise. It always does it clockwise. So like if you wanted to rotate something 90 degrees clockwise, you click it to the first thing here, 180 degrees, which flips it, and then 270 degrees, which is 3/4 of a turn clockwise or 1/4 of a turn counterclockwise. 270 is the same as 90 degrees counterclockwise. So that's something to keep in mind. Mirror, you can mirror anything that the selection is basically along the X or the Z axis. And of course the show bounding box is the same as in save mode. Also, you can reset it using this. And if you need more information about structure blocks, you can click this button. Or you can also visit the wiki. So that's basically the basics of structure blocks. That should be enough for you to be able to use them. Sometime in the future, I will go over the advanced stuff for structure blocks, like integrity and also seed within load mode. Integrity, seed, and whatnot. I'll go over those in the future. And I think that is about it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.